What is going on, YouTube people? New York Cards and Comics here. Welcome to the championship edition of the weekly sports card market update. That is right later today. AFC versus an NFC title games will send a representative to the Super Bowl. Not so much predictions, but kind of what I want to see happen. I would really like to see the Lions win in the NFC. And I'm really in a bind in the AFC. I don't like rooting for the Chiefs, but I cannot stand the Ravens as a Browns fan. So I guess I'm rooting for Taylor Swift. I don't know what to tell you. I guess we're on Team Mahomes. I have a 2017 Optic Mega, so selfishly, I guess I'm rooting for Mahomes on that one. So we'll see what happens there. Curious for your thoughts, comments, how that's all going to go in the comments down below. A lot of newsy stuff this week. We got some card prices, got the whole 9 yards to dive into. Before we do, our friends over at COMC, official sponsor of the weekly sports card market update and this video. Little lesson: don't do what I did. I made a little bit of a dumb mistake. It's easy to do. I just wasn't paying attention. I shipped out that order this past week with I sent both boxes in the same box. So I had a box of 80 cards for the select service, which was $1 per card. But those 80 cards were fresh pulls, so you get the 50% discount. So it's 50 cents a card. Cool. Printed out the paper, put it in there, packaged it all up. Second box had 150 cards. Those ones were more, older stuff, didn't qualify for fresh pulls. I was going to send them at the slower service, the standard service, at 50 cents a card. Oops. Accidentally hit select for those as well. So those will be going uploaded at $1 a card. I didn't even notice until the little on your dashboard, it says how many days until the order is ready to pop. So your cards will be uploaded, and both orders said the same date. And I'm like, wait a second, that's not right. And I looked and I was like, you're a dummy. Don't be stupid, as Sports Card Shack says. I was stupid. Pay attention when you're filling out paperwork, whether it's for PSA orders, COMC, whatever it is that you're doing, is what it is. Completely my mistake, my stupidity. It'll be fine. I will survive. I will be able to eat some Chipotle this week. It'll all be good. But if you haven't tried out COMC, go check out our friends over there. One last quick thing before we dive in. I have posted a fantasy baseball league. A couple people are in already. I put it out on the social sphere the other day, and I talked about it on the live stream that I did Saturday afternoon/evening. If you want to join, it's on Underdog. It is a best ball league. This first one I put up, it's a 12-team league. It's just $3. It'll be a slow draft. If this fills quickly, I will post more. I will put the information either in a pinned comment or the description of this video, or you could find it over on the community post. If you are already a member of Underdog, you can just hit the league link, sign up, good to go. If you are new, there'll be a promo code. There is a deposit match bonus, I believe up to $100. So if you want to put like $50 on there, they'll give you an extra 50. Like I said, I plan on running at least a couple of these. I would like to. We'll see how quickly and easily this one fills. But the first one is up. All right, let's go ahead and dive into some stuff. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. My FOMO machine was running overtime. I was not able to make it to the Atlanta Culture Collision show with Steve and Ham and Dustin and the rest of the crew and the Cards HQ, all their nonsense with their grand opening. I was not able to make it. I tried so hard to get down there, and it ultimately came down to whether or not I wanted to do a 10-hour drive. I had to hold off because of work. I couldn't book a plane ticket early enough. They got super expensive. It was $500 for a last-minute plane ticket to fly down there. So the prospects of driving entered the equation. I started mathing it out, figuring out when I need to be back by, when I could leave, all that stuff. And I was basically looking at a 10-hour drive down, spend 2 days down there, a 10-hour drive back, and then I have a hellacious week at work next week. Just not good timing all the way around. So I sadly was not able to make it. Immediately had FOMO, was immediately kicking myself for just not doing it. This is what happens when you get old, folks. I'll be 43 here very shortly, and 25-year-old me, 30-year-old me would have been in the car driving his butt down to Atlanta, but is what it is. is what it is. I've been enjoying the content from afar. I believe we have Off-Centered this week. Steve and Dustin will be breaking down their experiences there. If you want a little sneak peek at that, Steve and Michael Ham hopped on the live stream last night for about 40 minutes. So if you want to go check that out and get some on-hand thoughts. I talked to some dealers beyond Steve and Ham. I have not talked to Dustin, but I talked to some other dealers that I know that are set up on that show. They said that it was going very, very well. I heard today, or Saturday rather, was very, very busy. And we are in the swing of beginning of the year card shows are busy. This happens every single year. Everyone gets pent up after the holidays. Everyone wants to go to card shows. And the shows, it seems like the first quarter of the year are always slamming. I heard Dallas last weekend. I forgot to talk about it last week. Was fantastic. Everyone said it was super busy. Tons of deals. I talked to some dealers that had some of their best shows that they've had in years at Dallas last week. My next big show will be Ships. Assuming no blizzard, Brad. Keep the snow away this time for the March show. If you all remember last year, they got hit with a massive blizzard, power outages. The roads were terrible. It was white knuckle. I probably shouldn't have went, but I did anyway. So hopefully we stay away from the snow. Ships in 1 month will be my next big show. And then I was debating doing Philly, but I think I'm going to go. I might make a run at Chantilly in April. I need advice. Never been to that show. What is the hotel to stay at for? Is there one particular hotel that most people stay at where all the trade action happens, or is everyone spread out? I don't know much about that show other than the fact that it is a pretty good show. So if you have any good details on where to stay for the Chantilly show, drop it in the comments down below. Let's circle back to Atlanta. The Cards HQ preview stuff has been coming out. Listen, you're all probably not going to want to hear this. I have a sneaking suspicion Cards HQ is probably going to be successful. I plan on going down there later this year, check it out, see what it's like a few months in, let them get settled, see what the foot traffic's like, all that sort of stuff. But my gut tells me Cards HQ is going to work. The people have been freaking out over the pricing model that he's not negotiating on cards. One, if it doesn't work, I have a feeling they'll pivot and they'll change. Two, I have a sneaking suspicion it's probably going to work, or at least work well enough for them. I think what a lot of people are missing, and this is something that Carlos and the boys were talking about on Friday night on their live stream, is the selling of singles is going to be only one aspect of this shop. Don't forget, they have breaking, they have wax, they have supplies, they have online selling. And then if a card sits and it doesn't sell, they're just going to send it to Whatnot auction. And guess what? If you're on Whatnot or Fanatics Live and you have a massive following, stuff tends to sell really well. It might sell for more on a Whatnot auction than it would at what it was stickered at in the shop. I'm sure they'll lose on some stuff, but they're going to win on some stuff too on those Whatnot auctions. So even if it's not selling in the store, it's probably going to move that way. And my guess is his target audience isn't people trying to make money on the cards, if that makes sense. I don't know this for sure. This is just me speculating. My guess is his target audience is collectors, is end users, not in between people. He doesn't want to sell to you for 70 for you to go then sell it for 90 and make 20% off his card. He would just rather sell it at 100 and maybe be a little bit more patient on it to someone that actually wants to own it. That's my guess. And they'll have a fresh feed of new inventory if they so choose from what they can buy from what's going on the breaking side of the building. The other thing to keep in mind from like a square footage and all this extra space and stuff, don't forget, this is their new studio. So they were able to move out of their old studio. So there's an aspect of that as well. This is like one-stop shopping. They were going to need this space no matter what. Maybe not necessarily this big, but you kind of get where I'm going here. There's a lot of arms and tendrils of the sports card investor / Cards HQ that I think a lot of people don't consider the bigger picture on this. Now, is he going to retire off of it? I have no idea. But I don't think it's going to be the disaster that everyone is predicting that it will be. I'm sure there's already 5 comments saying that this is an ad for Card HQ. and that I'm shilling and whatever else you want to throw down there. We will see what happens. The internet will document every little thing about this shop ever. This shop will be under the microscope. But I think it's going to do good. I don't know. Like I said, I plan on getting down there later this year. I'm hoping to get down to Atlanta later in the summer, early fall for either Culture Collision Part 2 or Dragon Con. We will see which one I can get to. As I am recording this, Trade Night is happening there. So I haven't seen any content from Trade Night. There was like one quick reel that I saw Dustin post. It looked very busy of everyone walking in. I wouldn't be surprised if they max out on capacity. It looked like they got all the showcases completely filled up. Let's continue on in the news field. Fun one. Topps Now threw out an Embiid card after he dropped 70 this week. Embiid BFF with Michael Rubin. I was not surprised. I was a little surprised to see this. This is sold out now. It's well over. But it was a base card, and then there is besides the normal parallels, there is the chance to grab a 1/1 auto with an inscription of 70 points and the date on it. Pretty cool there. Topps continues to flirt around the basketball stuff. They are probably dying to make NBA and NFL cards of players in their actual jersey. One of the things from a collecting standpoint, one of the things I am very excited to see when Fanatics takes over is what they do with Topps Now. Some of the stuff they put out for baseball is really, really cool. And from a collector side of things, are those cards going to hold value 9 times out of 10? Absolutely not. But if you collect a player or team, they put out some fun stuff. They really do. So I'm curious to see where that goes. Let's talk break comp, the hot topic of the week. I was going to do a video on this earlier this week. I was going to do it for Monday, and I decided to do a follow-up on the Cards HQ thing and hold off on this. And that was probably a mistake because on Monday, everyone and their sister decided to do a video on break comp. So I figured, I'll just wait and talk about it on the weekly sports card market update. If you are not aware, break comp is a IG page that essentially comps all the breakers out there and presents it in think like Travelocity, Priceline, airline, flight, whatever you want, hotels.com style breakdown of, hey, do you want to buy into a break of Prism football? Hey, you want the Houston Texans full case break? Here's the team. Here's the prices for all the breakers. Now, as you can imagine, some of the breakers don't like this very much. I think Little Pullman gave some big pushback. I think Card Collector 2 maybe did a little bit of pushback. And some others. It's just been fun to see how out of whack, especially Little Pullman. His pricing was way out of line. Now, what I will say, I would not go off of this strictly. If I was looking to buy into a Texans break, let's say, I am not blindly going to pick the cheapest price point on there. You still need to do your homework on an individual breaker. I've noticed just when I look at this, the people that are priced the cheapest are breakers that I've never heard of before. Now, I'm not in the break circles. I don't follow everyone that close, but they're people that I have never really heard of before, a lot of the times. The middle of the road people, they're like fairly priced, but not the cheapest. Maybe they're 5% more, maybe they're 10% more, are typically people I have heard of before, or breakers that I have heard of before. And then there are some that are way out of line. My word of advice here is just don't always chase the cheapest. Use this as a guide and then go do your own research on each individual breaker on there if you're going to go down that rabbit hole. I'm willing to pay a little bit. I mean, I'm not buying in the breaks, but if I were, I'd be willing to pay a little bit more for a breaker that I knew and trusted versus just chasing the cheapest one out there. So do your own homework on this, but I wanted to make you all aware of break comp. If you are buying into breaks, check out their site. Check out their Instagram page. They have a website as well. I will say it does seem like there might be some ways to manipulate this a little bit by because they usually look at full case breaks. So you could probably, if a breaker wanted to, they could probably work around that angle a little bit and not list it as a full case break and not show up, on the good list, the naughty list or the good list. So still do your homework on this stuff, but you could probably take the data here and extrapolate it out. Okay, this is what everyone's charging for a full case. So if it's less than a full case, you could kind of math out where people should be and where the breaker that you're working with kind of slides into that. So go check out BreakComp for more information there. This was a fun one this week. The no autograph Wemby Donruss next day card. These came out this week. Donruss basketball came out. The next day auto is a big chase out of that all the time. And boy, oh boy. Now, is this a troll? Is this legal reasons? Is this they don't want him signing it in person? Or are they worried that if they left it blank, someone would forge a signature on it and someone might think it's real? Is it all of the above? There is precedent for this. There have been other cards that have no autograph printed on them over the years in the hobby. So it's not super crazy to see it, but it is funny. Whether they were leaning into it or not, I do find it amusing. It is a case hit or an SSP. I don't know if they're a case hit or not. It says case hit on there. I think they are pretty hard to hit, though. Now, what has happened since then? A couple of things. One, there's more players than just Victor. There's actually a handful of them. We'll kind of roll through it here in a second. Two, eBay, this was on Sports Cards Nonsense, and I've seen some of this too. eBay is pulling the listings for search manipulation because they're putting no autograph in the title. Because people would do that to, get their card listed a certain way and then throw no auto in there to get it to pop up on an autograph search. Someone was searching for PSA 10 Justin Herbert autograph. They'd put no autograph in there and it would pull it up in that search result list so they would see their card. So it's funny that eBay's been cracking down on this when it's a no autograph card. I don't know how they're going to work around that. I really don't. So just a fun little thing to keep in mind there. And like I said, there is a handful of these. Here's Scoots. There's Brandon Millers, Jet Howard, Jaime Jaquez, Jalen Hood, Cam Whitmore, and then Victor as well. So there is a handful of these no autograph SSPs. Like I said, whether it's legal told them they had to, or they're just doing a good old fashioned lean into it. Either way, I applaud them. I think, to me, this is a much better card than the Wemby Black Curtain floor with wires on it from Prism that we got. So fun little thing there. Speaking of fun card design, Top Series 1 is coming in 2 weeks. Valentine's Day. Get her a hobby box. Get him a hobby box. Get a dozen roses. Get some candy. You can lay the empty wrappers out on the bed. You can put a little trail instead of rose petals. You could put Series 1 base cards leading up the steps to the bedroom or to the bathtub or whatever it is that you're into. The hot tub, empty wrappers, whole 9 yards. Blow it out. We've gotten preview images of the color match parallel. These look fantastic. I love the way these look. These are the color match parallel from Series 1. The other thing that we got, which I'm happy about it and kind of sad about it. I wish it was a little bit in between. According to the checklist I saw, someone correct me in the comments if they saw different. These are going to be case hits. 1 per case. Ouch. These are going to be super tough pulls. And they're going to be pricey probably even for the non-rookies, I have to imagine. I assume it's the full checklist. I haven't looked, but I assume this is going to be the full checklist. 350 card checklist. It is going to be very hard to hit one of these, let alone to hit one in a player that matters. But I have a feeling that all the rookies are going to sell really well and a decent chunk of vets. That J-Rod, a Trout, an Ohtani, a Mookie Betts, and Acuna, all those guys are probably going to sell pretty strong on these. I think that design looks fantastic. I hope they continue it forward with Chrome. That design on a Chrome card could potentially look really, really good if they pull it off right. Regardless, this is a long way of me saying I am excited to open some Series 1. I'm going to open some Series 1. I'm just not sure how much Series 1 at this point. I am still trying to figure that out. But those look, I'm curious for your thoughts on this one, but to me, those look absolutely amazing. This may be my favorite parallel out of here. I love the J-Rod one. To me, the J-Rod one looks fantastic. I love the image, and I love the card design. One of my favorite things that they have done, and they have, if these images hold true, I love the way that the bat on this J-Rod pops out of the border of the card. They didn't do it on the Ellie. It looks like they're kind of, I've seen some other cards where they've done this on. I like this concept of it popping above the border. Almost makes the card look like it's 3D, like you're actually looking into like a shadow box almost. So fun to see that. Let's get into some charts and graphs. Market movers, link in the description down below. I feel like this video is running along. We'll do this very quickly. The quarterbacks. We looked at this late last week. If you want a full breakdown on the quarterback market prior to the playoffs, you could find that there. Just a quick rundown on the 4 remaining guys. This is over the last 30 days. Patrick Mahomes, silver PSA 10, up about 33%, sitting at around 3.5K. It's actually probably not up as much. This feels like a rogue sale on this one. I don't know that this ever dipped below 3K that much. Could have been like a golden sale or something like that. But it's basically been sitting at or around 3K. So we're up to about 3.5K on a Mahomes silver PSA 10. Jared Goff, up 45%. Brock Purdy actually down a little bit. There was one sale here that went really low. I did look because I was curious. Sold on Golden. Went a little bit below market. It appears that way anyway. Lamar Jackson Optic Hollow also down slightly. We'll see what happens early this week, depending on who wins and how things shift from there. A discussion on the live stream about what quarterbacks are you looking to get into for the next season? My answer on that was Joe Burrow. However, looking at a silver prism anyways, it looks like we missed our window. I was just kind of curious what some of the some of the QBs that have gotten bounced or didn't make the playoffs have been doing. This is over the last 60 days, so it does take us back into the tail end of the season. Joe Burrow actually up 31%. We'll circle back around to that in a second. Herbert flat. Fields up slightly. Josh Allen field level silver down about 20%. Jalen Hurts down 40%. That one's fresh. And Trevor Lawrence down 30%. Also pretty fresh. The Burrow, we can see, was going for about 1.5. This is late November. 1.2, 1.4, 1.5. I'm assuming this is around where he got hurt and was out for the year. Dropped down to 1.2, another 1.3. It kind of flattened there for about a month. You had your window of opportunity for around 1.2 to 1.3. And then boom, boom, boom. Multiple sales in a row. We are going back up again. It is back up to 2K on the last comp. As I've talked about many a times, when one of those injuries happens like that, sometimes the best time to jump in is immediately after. Everyone that wants to dump dumps, and then the amount of inventory coming slows. Everyone else wants to hold. And it looks like we moved through that dump section, and we are already on the way back up. So probably missed our window there. If you're a believer in Jalen Hurts, maybe now's a good time to sneak in there. Trevor Lawrence. Let's talk CJ Stroud really quickly. His silver prism. They obviously got bounced from the playoffs. This one's tricky. It's still kind of finding its footing a little bit because of the whole product just releasing and a lot of the inventory just hitting the market. This is raw, by the way. You can see over the last few days, it seems to have settled in around $300. Prior to them losing, it was close to $400. Once again, it was still kind of fresh. You can see here, it started off the gates at $500, came down to about $100, came down about $100, came down about another $100 post loss, and then we seem to be sitting in around the $300 range on this card. We'll have to see where it keeps going from here, but that seems to be where it's settling in at. We're beginning to start to see PSA 10s come back, so we'll see more and more sales on those as well and start to get some baselines on this stuff. Speaking of new releases, let's take a quick look at Victor. His silver PSA 10 prism is sitting at about $650. It's not in market movers yet. I don't know if they're having a weird issue. I'm wondering if they're running into problems with that one and the prism draft silver. I don't know. but it is not in market movers yet. But I did look, one just sold for around $600, and that's been about where they've been sitting. Those first ones out of the gate were going for 1,000, and then they quickly kind of settled in at around 1,000, or around 600 rather. Same thing with that. We're starting to see PSA 10s come to market, so that'll be something worth keeping our eye on. His base prism, not shocking, comes out super high and slowly creeps down, 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 down. This does not look like it's found its bottom yet. It's currently sitting at about $50-$60, still slightly trending down. Don't forget, we do not. I'm really skeptical of these numbers holding. We do not have the full release of Prism yet. All we got was that limited release of retail. Prism Hobby still doesn't come out for another, I think it's this week or next week. Keep that in mind. There's a boatload of supply that's about to be hitting. We haven't gotten a full retail run yet. If you're chasing anything from Prism Basketball, just be patient. Keep waiting. There's a whole bunch of inventory still coming. Last but not least, a little baseball. I was just kind of curious to see how things have been moving over the last 60 days. That takes us to right after Thanksgiving. I pulled up a bunch of first prospect auto cards just to kind of see what's been moving and shaking. These are some of the more popular young names heading into the season. Couldn't get all of them on here, just picked some at random. Evan Carter, PSA 10, up about 25%. He will be a big chase in Series 1. Gunnar Henderson, basically staying about flat, up about 12%. Corbin Carroll, up about 20%. J-Rod, up about 10%. Good luck finding one of these at around 1.2 to 1.3. You got to wait out an auction. All the buy it nows are 2K plus. Bobby Witt, PSA 10. Only one is sold. I just included it on here as kind of like a marker. Just under 800. And then Ellie De La Cruz down slightly. Everyone's favorite guy to chase last year has really come down quite a bit, but he will be a hot name in Series 1. That is all I got for you, boys and girls. If you want to do fantasy baseball, hop in, enjoy the games today, and we'll catch you, boys and girls, on the next one. Peace.